Welcome, Donna-Mae. We really appreciate your leadership and taking the time to do this interview with us.
Hi, nice to meet you.
As always, we like to start by acknowledging the original stewards of the various lands that we're on, as well as our ancestors, our elders, and community stewards whose shoulders we continue to stand on as we build and share and learn for our collective liberation. So, can you just start off by introducing yourself to our viewers and listeners?
My name is Donna-Mae Griffiths. I founded a organization called Black Jewel, and I'd love to share anything about it today.
That's great. So, can you tell us a bit about the origin of your work and how are you disrupting multiple ecosystems in Canada?
Well, the origin of my work, basically, I've been living in this country for over 50 years, and one of the things that I've seen over the many years, I haven't seen over the many years, is the development of space where our families can learn about our history. Our families can feel like we are, we own it and we can go to it and enjoy and learn and celebrate ourselves together. So I started thinking about how we can make that happen. And I've seen other cultural spaces happening in the city of Toronto. However, um, the area that I lived in and I've lived in for most of my life with my family, I don't see a lot of spaces that includes us. So thus I've come up with this idea of developing a cultural space called Black Jewel.
I love that. Absolutely. There's definitely a need and an interest there. So, can you share with us the mission and vision of Black Jewel?
Well, our mission is to uplift the culture first and foremost. And the vision that as I said, is to create a cultural space in the community, in our growing community out here in Durham, which is the fastest area of Black movement, people that are moving into the community in the GTA. I want to have space where there's performing arts, there's visual arts, there's um, also where we can learn about our heritage, where we could come together and work together as a community. I find that a lot of times, organizations, especially Black organizations, we're all over the place, and not everybody knows where to find us. And I think that's a huge need, especially now that we have new immigrants coming into the country, and they're trying to figure out who's here to help them, and it is on our shoulders to help them. It is our mandate, whether it's written or unwritten, to support them and help them find their way in their new country.
Yes, the impact that diversity, equity, inclusion, as well as philanthropic innovation has to the work that you're doing.
Well, with respect to diversity, especially out here, we look around and um, every other culture that has moved into Canada has built their cultural space. We don't have it. We don't have one that is recognizable. That you drive on the world, you'll see a sign that says this cultural center or this space or this museum or whatever it is. We need to we need to have space that is acknowledged for us. Um, as well, there are again so many needs in our community. As I said, as you talk about can't even say the word
The philanthropic
philanthropic.
innovation and investing. Yes.
Yeah. Um, you know, um we have a responsibility to make sure that our community is developed. We have a responsibility to make sure that we know our heritage. We have a responsibility to leave a legacy for our children that's up and coming. And if we continue to be fractured, um, it doesn't leave a good space for them as they're growing and they're learning, especially now that they have Canada as their birth country. Our children need to know that we have a space here, and I'm just learning so much right now. I'm sorry I'm not able to put all my words together, but I just feel like we're lost in this society. And so, those that have been here and those that have grown up now and are starting to create wealth in this country, we need to start giving back and start lifting up and start, making sure that our legacy is firm.
Absolutely. We need to definitely take up space. I appreciate that. I think it was still very well put together because we definitely understand what you're trying to create. Can you share what inspires you most about your current model at Black Jewel?
What inspires me most? Oh my gosh, I'm inspired every day when I look around and I see other organizations, other or young people um trying to do the same thing. It just makes me feel like, okay, I'm on the right track. Um, when I see organizations, when I meet organizations like yourself, and wow, we have similar goals and visions. Um, when I hear that, um, you know, things like I was watching a show last night about Black community mixtape. And when I come to the understanding that our history here over the last 50 years isn't really documented anywhere, isn't really doesn't really have a space that we can, again, our future generations or any Black person or any white person or any body can go and say, this is, oh, okay, this is where how the Black community has contributed to Canadian culture. And again, I'm not saying it's not happening, but I think it's not organized, and it inspires me to push forward and to make sure that we do have this space. We can have this space. It's so important.
Absolutely. So, what challenges or barriers are you facing in your work at Black Jewel, and how are you and your team overcoming them?
I think the challenge is really the biggest challenge for me is um again figuring out where to go, who is doing what what I'm doing, or who has the same mindset. I've been kind of, fiddling around in this area for the last, I want to say, year or two, and I'm finally meeting you, and you're my neighbor. You live in my community. You live probably 20 minutes away, and I'm so excited. It warms my heart to know that you exist and to know the work you're doing. And so I think as a Black community, we have to figure out how to come together. We have to figure out how to work together. And that's been my biggest challenge is just figuring that out, and for the amount of years that I've lived in this country, it should not be so hard. It should not be. And like when I say I've grown up here, I came here and my parents came here in the 70s. And so for the amount of years that I've lived in this country, to still be struggling with this it's a shame. It's a real shame. But I think perseverance is a good thing, and making sure that I persevere is definitely, a lesson that I've learned. And every week it's a new week, and I find I learn and I meet and I greet, and so I want to make it easier for the future. But um and then of course there's funding, and yes, there's funding out there, but understanding how that funding works and how do we make it work for us, and how do we make it work to 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 achieve these goals and these visions. That's definitely a huge area. So.
Yeah, so like you said, it's necessary to finally connect. And once we create these spaces where, we can, meet and find each other and network, there's, no limit to what we can do. So I'm glad that we are creating these spaces, and we have Setsi that's definitely bringing communities together as well. Do you have a key set of priorities that you're working on right now that you'd like to highlight?
Well, I think for us, we're very new as a nonprofit. So what we've decided to do is launch, um, find a way to, and our launch is about engaging with the community, letting them know who we are, what we're about, and engaging them to support and to help us build this space, because I can't do it by myself. And yes, there is, the option of finding funding out there, but I think the community needs to be involved. I think part of the mission and the goal is to start gathering people at the grassroots level and saying, hey, we're here. Not here for ourselves, but we're here for you. And so I'd want to highlight a a couple of events that we have on the calendar. And it's going to be in Ajax, November 3rd. We have an event space that we've um, that we've booked on Church Street at 78 Church Street. It's called St. Francis Center. And we wanted to have a vendor marketplace, an art exhibition, and we want to invite the community to come and check out the people that are some of the vendors that are sharing the culture, that are entrepreneurs that are sharing the culture, um, as well. So we have two of those marketplace. One is November 3rd, the other one is on December 22nd. And then on the December 23rd, we have a show and a launch. And again, it's just a time for us to meet the community, engage with the community, and tell them about us and what we want to do. And that we even exist. I think there's a lot of people that would, everyone I talk to, or many people that I talk to, like this idea, say, yes, it's long overdue. We need to do this. But now I'm just trying to get organized and bring that information to them
That's
and see
great.
how they can help.
Well, I'm glad you have those on the calendar. So we'll definitely want to tap into those. It's just the beginning. So how do you feel about the future of diversity, equity, and inclusion here in Canada?
Wow. Well, for the longest time, we weren't aware that we needed this. And so I feel very hopeful. I feel very hopeful. I feel like, we're still scratching the surface, but I do feel excited and hopeful about the future and where um, you know, some of the projects and the visions and the aspirations that I see in some of these organizations, like yourself and others that I've come in contact with. I think it's really a cool time to be, and it's amazing to be a part of this movement.
Absolutely. You talked a lot about what you want to create. If you could articulate your ultimate goal with Black Jewel and what success would look like for you and your colleagues, what would that be?
Well, the ultimate goal would be for us to own the space that we want to have, not just rent, but own it, so that we're empowered and we can control, the comings and goings. We can help those that need help, with the economic empowerment that we have, as well. When we open our doors, that someone walks through those doors and they see our culture. They see who we are. They see where we've been. I mean, this culture that, you know, shows up in bits and pieces and, is kind of scattered all over the calendar. It would be would be accessible year round. And you know, and that would be with the, the the artwork that's on the wall, the colors, I don't know, just um it would be, it could also become a tourist attraction, a place where, visitors to Canada can say, hey, I want to know a little bit more about the Black community and how it exists here. Boom, here's what, this is the place that you want to be. So I want it all. I mean, I just my heart just, starts to flutter when I start to think about this. So
Love that.
yeah.
That's good. So, do you have any closing thoughts or calls to action for our community?
Mm. I think that we need to keep striving for this. It's just, as I said, we're just scratching the surface of what can be. And we have no idea what the future holds for us and for our children. Uh, But, just get involved. This is not something we can do on our own. We need to come together as a community. And we've been fractured for so many hundreds of years, you know. It's time for us to come together. It's time for us to build. It's time for us to say this is who we are and where we're from, and you know, not to give up, to keep moving.
Absolutely. I think there's an uprising right now. So it's like the perfect time for that message and mandate. So we really appreciate you taking the time and your leadership and what you're doing with Black Jewel. So thank you so much for being here for this interview today.
You're very welcome.
We
Thank
like to
you.
close the way we began by acknowledging the original stewards of the various lands that we are on, as well as our ancestors who toiled without compassion or compensation, all the elders whose community, whose shoulders we continue to stand on as we build our community and learn together for our collective liberation. So once again, thank you so much, Donna-Mae, and thank you to our viewers and listeners for tuning in.
Thank, thank you.